That's right, folks, I'm back at it again with another video essay on a rom-com anime. I told you I wouldn't be dead forever. If you're a returning viewer from my Horimiya video, then welcome back. I hope this video is just as good, if not better than that one. And if you're a new viewer, be warned, because this stuff gets pretty corny. So if you haven't clicked off already and you're willing to sit through me as your commentator, well, all I can ask of you is to please enjoy. Sorry, did I break your concentration? Well, too bad, because my phone is ringing, and guess what's calling? Peek, peek, and peek. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you, though you probably already know it, one of my favorite recent releases, the fragrant flower blooms with dignity. This anime is incredible, okay? The animation, the voice acting, the OST, all of it is superb. It's incredible. Okay, look. I'll calm down and actually get to talking about it. Cause oh my god, it's just so damn good and if I could rant endlessly and just yap about a certain Rintaro Tsumugi is a pretty closed-off young man who goes to high school. He might look a bit scary, but in actuality, he's gentle and polite. Growing up ostracized and without many friends, he puts up emotional walls, but will jump the gun for a friend in need. I think we've already talked about this character on the channel before. Oh, right! No, we are not. That joke is a year ago. That joke is dead. This was a year ago. Jokes aside, Rintaro is a great guy, but a lot of his past comes to bite him in the ass when he's presented with new situations and people. Like how he treats Karuko the exact same way he was treated all his life. For things and factors that don't really define a person. But as the series progresses, slowly but surely, he comes out of his shell. He stands up for himself more. He finds his potential to be a better man because of Karuko. Do you think episode 1 Rintaro would have met up with Subaru and faced her head on like he did in episode 6? Hell no! Suffice to say, despite being just a tiny bit frustrating at times, he locks the fuck in. His talk no jutsu isn't to be underestimated, and I absolutely love the guy. You better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet. Man! Boy ain't gonna do nothing. Ah! Kaoruko Waguri, everyone's favorite pixie dream girl. I love this character, straight up. And if you comment saying I'm glazing, then fuck it. I'm glazing. Seriously, she's just the most adorable character ever. She's kind, she's precious, she's delicate, and almost always wearing a smile on her face. She is so authentic, and so genuine, and so goddamn caring. That entire episode 6 sequence with Subaru had me crying, and I was in class watching that shit. My best friend was sitting next to me, and if he turned his head even just slightly to the left, he would have seen tears. That's what this anime did to me. Her character remains pretty consistent throughout the story. From day one, she's standing by Rintaro, appreciative of all of his kind gestures and always doing her best to see him, even to the point of apologizing when she can't make it. It's this warmth, affection, and kindness that eventually pushes her into falling in love with him. Her kindness and warmth find chemistry with his selflessness, and that manages to bring his emotional walls down. Kaoruko, above all, is non-judgmental. The reason why Rintaro and her get along so well. Rintaro, someone who has been judged his whole life, finally finds light in someone who wants to know him as much as he wants to know her. And I think that's beautiful. And for that reason, Kaoruko has my undying respect as a character. What is that noise? Oh.
You and I both know just how the story goes.
here comes the most frustrating part of the series. The conflict between Chidori and Kikyo. What I didn't mention about these two characters is that they both go to different schools. Rintaro Tsumugi goes to Chidori Public High School, and Kaoruko goes to Kikyo Private Academy. The conflict between Chidori and Kikyo has been something that I could never take seriously, even if it genuinely affects the characters in significant ways. Okay, these two schools hate each other. One hates the other for being a school packed with savages, and one hates the other for being a school packed with snobs. But you guys do realize that it's not that deep. What kind of miracles did you have to perform to get so many students that are so narrow-minded and so attached to the stigma that everyone in both schools, aside from 2 exceptions, hates each other? What? Now you might be asking, is this a meme segment? Well, yes, absolutely. Am I making this meme segment out of one of the most vital plot points of the story? Yes, absolutely. I mean, you clicked on a video uploaded by me. Were you really expecting a serious, in-depth, introspective reflection on the fragrant flower blooms with dignity? Yes? Well, screw you. That comes at the end of the video when I do my cliche, long-winded, emotional speech on my greatest takeaway. Hey, editing Clancy here. As funny as it would have been to just write this entire thing off as a joke, I will be talking about why the conflict between Chidori and Kikyo is so important, albeit in a rather quick, concise way. The conflict between these two is so important to the story since the two love interests are, well, from those schools. This little discrepancy is responsible for lots of the conflict that happens in the first act. Any of the future conflicts regarding the whole Chidori-Kikyo thing in the manga aren't nearly as notable since at that point, the gang is tight and has each other's backs. But early off, it's basically Rintaro against the world. So as frustrating as it is, it's here and it's got those effects. The boys, baby! Saku Natsusawa, Shohei Usami, and Ayato Yorita are Rintaro's 3 friends that have constantly had his back since episode 1. Saku Natsusawa is easily the least expressive of the bunch. He's pretty stoic at times, but he still knows how to have a good time. Out of all the guys, he takes the whole inter-school conflict a lot more seriously, going even as far as to flame Subaru in episode 3. Like, Subaru was being a dick, but my dude, that's your future wife. Despite his outwardly cold demeanor, he's an incredibly deeply caring friend, especially towards Rintaro since he's so heavily affected when Rintaro refuses to tell him and the others anything. He's so caring and deeply concerned with his friends that he openly admits to Rintaro that he trusts them from the bottom of his heart, wearing his heart on his sleeve in a rare moment of vulnerability. But turning around, we find another extreme. Meet Shohei Usami, easily the wildest and most expressive of the bunch. This dude could lose an arm and make a joke about it 3 minutes later. I love this carefree, redheaded bundle of energy. He gets along with literally anyone, be it Rintaro's mom or the 2 girls from Kikyo upon their first meeting, including Subaru, who literally slimes them earlier on in episode 3. He's outwardly warm, friendly, and always trying to brighten the mood. I mean, you've got to respect someone who can find themselves in the most dire situations and still crack such a genuine smile. My favorite moments with Shohei are those moments where he says what Rintaro needs to hear in that moment. Like that one part in episode 9 where he tells Rintaro that had he met him earlier in life, he would have thought he was cool and became friends with him. And to Rintaro, someone who had a miserable, lonely school life, that shit hit deep. But of course, that overly eccentric personality and attitude does get him into situations that aren't exactly desirable. So for that, we're gonna need a mediator. Enter Ayato Yorita. Easily the most normal of the group when it comes to how he acts. Whilst Shohei and Saku both gravitate towards certain extremes, he's the middle ground out of the group. He's reliable, he's dependable, he can always talk you out of tough spots, and on top of all of this, he's just lots of fun. Despite being a friendly, level-headed guy, he tends to have a bit of a sadistic side to him. Shown in the episode where they go bowling, he isn't exactly thrilled about Shohei being so cheery about crushing them in that whole bowling deal. And after their big comeback win, he rubs some salt in the wounds. Cheeky bastard. bastard. And above all, dude is just an S-tier bro. He always has Rintaro's back and he's very upfront about it, telling him that no matter how things go with Kaoruko, he's always by his side. And when Rintaro gets jumped, Ayato puts in the damn work. Although let me just say, if Rintaro's friends weren't there to take over and it was Rintaro alone, a very angry Rintaro against these guys, there would have been blood, but it wouldn't have been Rintaro's. And so collectively, those three act as Rintaro's safe space in school, the ones to take him into their strange little huddle after all those years of middle school isolation. Their camaraderie is nothing short of beautiful, and it's one of the elements of the show that managed to bring me to tears. But I'm getting off track. That's still stuff I'm gonna talk about in the later segments. Right now, we've still got some characters to talk about. Subaru Hoshina is one of the most polarizing characters in terms of how she acts. She's incredibly intimidating and cold upon first contact, especially towards the boys since they're from Chidori. But it's clear that there is so much more beneath the tough act. In episode 4, she meets with Rintaro after their rather rocky first interaction and tells him to stop seeing Kaoruko. Not out of malice, but out of care for Kaoruko. As irritatingly short-sighted as it is, it's so earnest in its intentions and how she sheds tears for Kaoruko in that very conversation. Not to mention the fact that she makes up for it in the very next episode by speaking with Kaoruko one-on-one, apologizing, and truly showing how much she loves her as her best childhood friend. Despite constantly struggling with trying to love herself, past all of that self-loathing and hidden weakness, there's Kaoruko, being the one right next to her own heart. Because of Kaoruko, she finds it in herself to eventually join Kaoruko and the rest of the Chidori boys as a friend group, improving on herself because of the support from her best friend. Being someone who changes for the better because of Kaoruko, I actually often tend to liken her to Rintaro. She's an incredibly interesting character, and let's just say, I'm rooting for my boy Saku.
Tell him to bring me my money.
Keiichiro and Kyoko Tsumugi. Oh, hell yes. Kyoko Tsumugi is possibly one of my favorite characters in the entire series. You wanna know why Rintaro snapped out of his prejudgments and found it in himself to approach Kaoruko after fumbling, setting everything in motion? That's right, his mom, Kyoko. She's one of Rintaro's guiding lights throughout the whole series, always standing by his side and caring for him no matter what. Does Rintaro need advice? Bring in Kyoko. Does he need an attitude adjustment? Bring in Kyoko. Going even further back from the start, she's cared for Rintaro more than anything in the world, allowing him to get his hair dyed blonde and his ears pierced, and doing those same things to herself just to make him feel better about it, cause that's something he likes. And the part that cracks me up the most is how she tears up when Rintaro finds friends. That made me cry. Suffice to say, she's the best. Keiichiro, you've got a damn good eye. Speaking of which, Keiichiro is a bit less hands-on, being incredibly caught up with his work in the bakery, but unlike some dads we've covered on this channel,
Oh my God, bro.
he's actually present and genuinely shows care to Rintaro. He also greatly admires the care his wife has for their own son and is overall just a great dude. He's immediately on board with helping Rintaro, constantly training him when he's preparing to bake a cake for Kaoruko, and of course, asking for the recipe. He's stupendously passionate about his craft but never neglects his own family. He's hardworking, loving, and even if he's not nearly as upfront about it, he's evidently proud of Rintaro. And that's it. Those are all the characters. But Clancy, you didn't cover Madoka! She appears for one episode in the anime and isn't a relevant character! Shut up, bitch! Before we talk about the actual writing, can we just admire the sheer quality of this anime? Like, holy shit, Cloverworks murdered this. The voice acting is perfect. Every single character has a perfectly matching voice. I'm talking about the Japanese dub this time around, because the English dub? No comment. And the animation. Holy dear God, this animation. I cannot do this level of quality any justice with words. There are so many shots that are just downright breathtaking, and the entirety of episode 13, my God! And of course, the OST. Being a music nerd, I always love listening to the OST and how it may affect the scene, and whilst it's not Horimiya tier, I still genuinely love it. Now, despite what you may think, the romance aspect of this anime actually takes quite the backseat in comparison to stuff like friendship and character development. Probably because this anime isn't actually finished yet. I expect season 2 to be a whole lot more romance-oriented, since at that point they're together. Rintaro and Kaoruko's relationship doesn't feel forced in the slightest. It's one of the most beautiful things I've seen blossom on a screen. Fairly early on, Rintaro finds himself apprehensive because of their opposing backgrounds, but after a wake-up call courtesy of Kyoko, they make this unspoken pact to know each other, to be friends. But from Kaoruko's perspective, she's wanted to know him for months since it's revealed in episode 13 that, well, she's had her eyes on him for so long now. When she says, "I finally know your name," and says that she didn't mean anything by it, that's actually a lie, because she has had her eyes on him forever. And honestly, that part kind of fucking blew my mind. This isn't a scripted part, by the way. Jesus, that fucking blew my mind. I was like, what? Whoa, I wasn't expecting it. Now here's my complaint. They get together in the last episode! I have to wait for more? Come on! Sorry. As their relationship develops, through Kaoruko, Rintaro finds it in himself to give up less, to finally stand up and aim for what he really wants. He improves as a person, being less closed off and emotionally walled up. And then there's Kaoruko, constantly being there for Rintaro all the way, just like how he was there for her in her low moment, even if she didn't know him. Wherever he might backslide or fall into moments of difficulty, there's Kaoruko, smiling for him, brightening his day, lighting emotions within his soul that he'd never felt before. The confession scene just has some incredible directing. The build-up, how Rintaro pours more and more of his heart out before simply saying, "I love you." It's peak. Their love is organic. It works because they play off each other so well. Her unyielding kindness, patience, and understanding, and his selflessness, determination, and self-improvement. But of course, there's no way they could have done it all alone. In my opinion, as beautiful the romance in Fragrant Flower is, the highlight of it all is the friendship. Having some idiots by your side to mess around and have fun with. Yes, Rintaro wouldn't have opened up without Kaoruko's motivation and how he admires her friendship with Subaru. But that's the thing, that admiration is born out of her friendship. Friendship. Had Rintaro gone down a different path and not made friends with the three boys early on, God knows what would have happened to him. He could have easily chose a different route and wound up somewhere else entirely. But because of those three dumbasses by his side, they're where they are now, happier than ever. And had Kaoruko never stepped up for Subaru early on in her life, well, the implications of that are just downright depressing. Being horribly bullied as a small child, had Subaru not had Kaoruko to lean on, her self-loathing would have been way worse than it already is. But no, because of Kaoruko, she finds it in herself to open up and be honest with the guys. Again, in another way, Subaru and Rintaro are quite similar. Ostracized, judged, yet pushed by Kaoruko to not only be honest with her, but with the other people in their life. These characters aren't weak though, they all walk certain roads alone. They have to find it in themselves to do what is necessary sometimes, and that leads me to talking about their resilience. Rintaro lived middle school alone, without any friends. Subaru and Rintaro were helped by Kaoruko. Yes, absolutely. But it was their choice to stand up, to step up to the plate and open up. Not to mention all the Chidori boys having to deal with the constant scrutinizing of the Kikyo girls and vice versa. Fighting through terrible grades, unneeded dramas, and especially for Subaru and Rintaro, their internal struggles, sometimes you have to do it alone. Rintaro didn't give up like he may say. No, he survived. And it's because of this that they all grow close into one tightly knit group. They've all got each other to fall back on. Give me a brief moment to talk about how the first and last episode of the season are literally parallel to each other. The first episode, titled Rintaro and Kaoruko, is from Rintaro's perspective. Meeting Kaoruko, getting to know her, his first real experience with her. But on the very last episode, it shows Kaoruko's side, the side we never saw, and how much more it already meant to her. Her intentions were there from the start. She wanted to know him. She wanted to know the man who lifted her up in her lowest moment, even if he didn't know her at all. The intentions were there. Intentions are everything. So here we are again, now towards the ending segment of the video where I give my long-winded emotional speech. So let's get into it. In my previous video, I stated how depressing it was when romance comedy animes would end the last episode and then a black screen would follow. And you know what, it is kind of depressing. It is a cold punch to the gut. A cold reminder that, yeah, these characters aren't real. Rintaro, Tsumugi, and Kaoruko Waguri, along with their wacky group of friends, aren't real. But the emotions, the values, the experiences they go through, that shit is real. Finding your crowd of people, that shit is real. Finding love, that shit is real. And that brings me to my next point. How the fragrant flower blooms with dignity is about letting people into your life. I can see how terrifying that would be, especially if you were isolated or ostracized or judged in your past, but something's gotta give. Because life is too short to be wallowing in your own self-pity. Life is too short to be alone, when you could instead be spending it with that crowd of people that you may or may not already know. That crowd of people that is always there to make you smile, that is always there to pick you up when you are down. Why would you waste that opportunity just to be sad about what can't be changed? And I know it's not that easy. I know way too goddamn well. And hell, these days I still struggle. But just knowing that someone's out there for you will help you carry on. And of course there's love. Not just the friendship kind, but the love that Kaoruko and Rintaro share. Look, I say this a billion times to all my pessimistic friends and to lonely people on the internet who I don't mind repeating to a million times. Someone out there is gonna love you. Someone out there is gonna change you for the better. Someone out there is gonna wanna know you more than anyone could ever know you. Know you more than you know yourself. Because that kind of love is real. Yes, it's hard to find, but of course it's gonna be hard because you're finding the person that's gonna be with you for the rest of your life. But when they're by your side, they're gonna love you to death. They're gonna wanna gift you everything, trigger emotions, chain reactions within your heart. And honestly, that is worth all of the pain. Come on, I didn't let the last video end sappy, and I'm sure as hell not letting it end sappy on this one. This anime is incredible. It's wholesome, it shows growth, the importance of people, the joy and laughter that some good company can bring. And if me, a dumb idiot with a microphone, can convince you to live life, then I suggest rewatching this anime. Life is too short for the pity parties, for the self-loathing and the wallowing and all that in misery. But you didn't get this far by giving up. Brighter days will come. You will find that strange little huddle that takes you in. That strange huddle that stays right by your side for the rest of your life. So from me to you, thank you so much for watching this video. Keep your head up high, keep your chin up, and on the hardest, darkest days, you say...